The Lich is one of Adventure Time's most harrowing villains, and for a long time was portrayed as a sort of boogeyman in the land of Ooh. If you see my previous video on the Lich, you would know that he only had one goal in mind, and that was to destroy every person in the universe. And he did, technically. With his return in Fionna and Cake, the Adventure Time spin-off, we once again see the Lich, but this time in a very different light, and learn that the fate that would be awaiting him at the end of this road would be one of misery and agony. Spoilers up ahead if you haven't watched the show yet. But Fionna and Cake is about multiversal traveling along with Simon, now reformed Ice King, who is trying whatever it takes to get Betty back. Betty being the girl he was in love with, who also merged with an evil chaos god to save him. While on their adventures through the different universes, they come across this world of nothingness, just barren land, and Bimo, who tells the group everyone in the world that was living turned to skeletons and the only things left was him and Jerry. What? Then revealed that Jerry is actually the Lich of this universe. But something is off with this Lich. He's not like the same character we see in the main universe. We see him sat motionless, a husk of what he once was, because in this reality, he completed his goal of exterminating every living being. Some theories I've heard is that this world is actually the timeline that follows the Lich's wish being granted by Prisma. If you remember in the Adventure Time episode, Jake the Dog, the Lich's wish before being changed by Jake was,
I wish for the extinction of all life.
So that would explain why Billy's skin is still barely clinging to his body and why Bimo said everyone just turned to skeletons. But he reached his lifelong goal. Why wouldn't he be happy? Well, it's actually later found out in the show that the Lich didn't have this goal for his own desires, but instead to attract the attention of Golb. Yeah, you know, the big red chaos baby that we see at the end of Adventure Time. But with no answer from Golb after exterminating everyone in the universe, he was left with nothing to do. His life had ultimately become meaningless. And this revelation to me is actually more depressing because it just shows the blind fate that he put in the Golb and how he wasn't just some force of evil. At any point he could have just stopped. Do I think that ever would have happened? Probably not, but you know, maybe one universe he actually did. But this information actually ended up dividing the Adventure Time fandom, because one side now saw the Lich as a sim, which I get, you know, it's one thing to be a being of evilness and that's just your nature. It's another thing to be like, oh, I did all this to get the attention of baby girl Golb. But the other side felt as though this humanized his character a little more and made him a lot more deep. To me, the Lich having a reason as to why he kills everyone does give us more insight to his character, because it's a goal that the audience can understand. And I don't mean the mass murdering part. No one's gonna relate to that except maybe like Thanos. I'm talking about the extreme and very ignorant faith in something. And to me, it just really emphasized how insane of a character he was and how he was always destined to suffer. Because with the words that he speaks at Golb, it implies that the Lich expected something to happen once he completed this goal. As if Golb would reach down and greet him with a smile, but being blinded by his devotion and not even grasping what Golb truly is, which is a being of pure chaos before merging with Betty, that has no ties to anything, no goals, no reward system. He is there purely to destroy, and that's it. It's as cut and dry as that. It's in his nature, and this was something a lot of fans thought the Lich was like. And when you take this into account, you realize that the Lich was always heading down a tunnel with no light at the end of it. He was seeking something, anything, that was never promised. And when Golb has finally heard enough of the Lich, she turns him into a stone to be added with all the rest. And we can clearly see there's a lot of them there, so it can be connected that this is the fate of the Liches in many universes. And the only ones where he doesn't end up like a stone will be the ones where he loses, like when he turns into Sweet Pea in the main timeline. And in reality, it's actually pretty funny because the Lich is a character that is well known for always saying that he's gonna return, that he's an unstoppable force that will achieve his goal. But even in the end, if he still wins, he's always destined to lose.